Hi guys, this is George back here with another vlog, and today I'm here at PortAventura World in Spain for the 30th anniversary. Yes, in 2025 this park turns 30 years old. It opened on the 1st of May 1995, not the 2nd of May, which I originally thought. So originally I looked on RCDB to see when the birthday was because I wanted to be here on the day of the 30th birthday. So it said it was the 2nd of May, so I thought, oh, 2nd of May, that's his birthday. So I planned this whole trip to make sure I was here on this day. And then I went on social media yesterday and the park were posting about it being their birthday that day. So the park actually opened. It was actually the 30th birthday yesterday. So that's a bit unfortunate. However, yeah, I'm here today. It's the day after the 30th birthday and I'm looking forward to going around, seeing everything that's new around the park and also getting back on some of my favorite rides. So I'm going to start my day here at PortAventura in the Chinese section of the park, and I'm going to go for a ride on Dragon Khan, which looks like it has just opened. Normally I would go straight to Shambala because that's my favourite ride here, but I really want to go on Dragon Khan because that is one of the opening day attractions for this park. When this park first opened in 1995, this was their standout roller coaster. This was their big thrill coaster, and when it opened it had the most inversions on any roller coaster in the world with 8. It's a B&M sit-down coaster designed by John Wardley, who's very well known for designing a lot of coasters in the UK, such as Vampire at Chessington, Nemesis at Alton Towers. In fact, a lot of the coasters at Alton Towers were designed by John Wardley. He's a very well-known character in the UK, and he did also design Dragon Khan. So yeah, I'm gonna go for a ride on that. You can get some absolutely stunning views in this area. You walk in just here, you got Shambala over there, Dragon Khan with its massive loop. Such an incredible view. Yeah, I'm gonna go and get in the queue for Dragon Khan now. So I've changed my mind. I am gonna go on Shambala because it's right here. It's got a single rider queue. Dragon Khan's on 50 minutes, and I don't want to walk past what is one of my favourite roller coasters in the world. So yeah, I'm gonna go for a ride on here. I can't wait to get back on this. Shambala is an absolutely incredible roller coaster, a B&M hyper coaster. It opened in 2012 and it's one of my favourite roller coasters out there. This roller coaster has got a very special connection to me because it was the roller coaster that made me fall in love with roller coasters. It's like this was my first big coaster. When I first rode this, I was terrified. It was the tallest roller coaster anywhere in Europe and I was terrified of it, and I got pretty much pushed on it by my dad, pretty much making me go on it, and I went on it. And I remember when I first got off it, because I'd been so scared about it and making such a fuss about going on it because I was so scared, and I absolutely loved it. But once I came off, I pretended that I didn't like it because I wanted to try and prove a point, because I was making a massive fuss about it before getting on, and then yeah, I just wanted to try and prove my point pretending I didn't like it. But then I kept wanting to go round and round again, and I had so many rides in it that trip. I've had so many rides in it over the years. I must have ridden it about 60, 70 times over the years now. I love it to bits. One of my favourite roller coasters out there. It is absolutely incredible. It was an amazing addition to this park in 2012. I can't imagine this park without it, to be honest. Of course, back in 1995 when Dragon Khan opened, there was no Shambala. It's like, of course, now you can get the views of them both together, but I see photos of this area before Shambala was built, and it just looks so weird without it there. But yeah, talking of Dragon Khan, I'm going to go for a ride on that now. I think it's advertised at about an hour's queue. However, I do really want to go on this. It can be a bit rough, however, it's an opening day attraction. It's a very intense ride, and this is also another very special ride for me. But this whole park is very special for me. I spent so much time here as a kid. I came here in 2014 for my first time. Back in 2015, I spent a lot of time here when I was a kid. I got loads of very happy childhood memories from this park, and this was one of my first big coasters that had inversions. My first coaster with inversions was Hyperspace Mountain at Disneyland Paris, and this was the next one that I did. And of course, when this first opened, it had 8 inversions, the most on any roller coaster in the world. So yeah, let's go for a ride on this B&M sit-down coaster, an original attraction for the park. So I've just had a front row ride on Dragon Khan and I really enjoyed that, absolutely fantastic. I waited about an hour for it and yeah, it was really good fun. Being on the front row is fantastic because it's much smoother on the front. No matter where you sit, it is quite a rough coaster. However, towards the back, it can get really uncomfortable. At the front, it's much better. Yes, it's still rough. However, like if you're prepared for it, like you keep your head forward, it is still a great ride. It's very intense as well. Some great inversions on there. The views from the top are absolutely fantastic. It's a brilliant roller coaster. I'd love to see it get some retracking work at some point. Of course, we've seen with Nemesis at Alton Towers, that's been retracked, and that only opened a year before this did. So maybe it is about time that this got some retracking work done. But it is a really good coaster. However, yeah, just a little bit rough in places. So I'm here now at the Grand Theatre Imperial to watch this new show, Un Viaje Fascinante. So this is new for the 30th anniversary of the park, and this show is going to take us on a journey through the different themed areas of PortAventura. So let's go, looking forward to seeing this.
Hace 30 años emprendimos un viaje fascinante. Un viaje que zarpó desde el borde de la drasana de Mediterránea.
So you've just seen some footage there from Viaje Fascinante, I think is how you pronounce it. Oh yeah, it translates to a fascinating journey in English, and that was absolutely brilliant. That is probably the best show I've ever seen in a theme park. Absolutely amazing. So of course it's here to celebrate the 30th anniversary of PortAventura. So it starts off with like these two people that are coming as guests to PortAventura, and then they get immersed in all these different worlds, all the different themed worlds that make up PortAventura. Of course you've got 5 big themed worlds in this area. You've got in this park Mediterranean, Mexico, Polynesia, Far West and China. All have a big representation in the show. Some amazing stunts in there, amazing choreography. The costumes were amazing. That was like, there was some amazing stunts in there. I wasn't expecting it to be like that. It was like loads of different, like there were loads of balancing bits, and then people get lifted up, and loads of different, there were sections when they were on the unicycles, and then they were throwing things to each other and catching them. That was an absolutely incredible show. About half an hour long, the perfect length, amazing music in there, the lighting was incredible, and then of course you got the finale as well, where all of the characters came together to represent all the different themed areas. As 30 years of this incredible theme park. I've heard a lot about the shows at PortAventura, and I've always heard about how amazing they are. However, I never really watch any of them because I'm always focused on getting on the rides when I'm here, but I'm so glad I made sure to go and watch that today. I definitely wanted to make sure I watched that, with it being the big like 30th anniversary show, but that was absolutely brilliant. One of the best shows I've ever seen in a theme park. So I'm going to go for a ride on El Diablo Tren de la Mina now, this Arrow mine train coaster. I haven't been on this for a couple years. I used to love this when I was a kid. It isn't the most comfortable ride, however, this is another one of the opening day attractions. 30 years old this year, here it comes. Yeah, it's got a bit of a funny layout, this one, however, it is good fun. There it goes. Currently advertised on a 40-minute queue. There we go, just had a ride on El Diablo Tren de la Mina, 30 years old this year, classic Arrow mine train, and it's a decent family coaster, to be honest. Like, yeah, it's not going to be the smoothest coaster, it's an Arrow coaster, of course it's not going to be the smoothest. It has got some funny transitions on there where it does batter you around a bit. However, it is a lot of fun. It's not got the most creative layout, however you do get some nice interaction with the Silver River flume on there, and then also from the top of the third lift hill you get some amazing views looking over towards the Chinese area and looking over towards the B&Ms. They look absolutely brilliant from up there. One of the best views you can get in a theme park, looking over towards over at China and Shambala and Dragon Khan together. But yeah, it's a fun ride, decent length to it. It's a nice family coaster. I used to love that as a kid. I'd literally go round and round and round on it all the time. I loved it. Yeah, it is a good fun coaster. So I've made my way down to Far West now, where I'm looking forward to trying out Stampede, because over the closed season they've been retracking a lot of this. They put a lot of Titan track from GCI on these two coasters. So of course these two wooden coasters are known for being very rough. So the park have been working on it to try and improve the ride experience again. I remember when I used to first come here as a kid, I used to love this, and I'd keep going round in it like literally all day. I loved it so much. I've ridden this so many times over the years, but it has started to get very rough in recent years. So now they've been retracking a lot of it, so I'm interested to see what it's going to be like. I did the red side of Stampede, and there's quite a lot to talk about with that. So let's start by talking about the Titan track and what they've done on there. So the parts that they've replaced are the bits after the first drop. So the first couple of bends and airtime hills after the first drop. So literally from the bottom of the first drop to then the next few elements is where the Titan track is. And I have to say, with that Titan track, I'm really impressed with that. It was silky smooth on that. Where the Titan track was, that was one of the roughest points of the ride before, whereas now it's so smooth. To be honest, it feels like a completely different ride when you're going on there. Like, you get a bit of a jolt at the bottom of the first. Oh wow, an hour and 40 minutes for Uncharted. Yeah, no thank you. So you start off by going down that first drop, and there's a bit of a jolt at the bottom of the first drop, and then you used to go into what was a really rough section. However, now beautifully smooth from the Titan track. However, then the Titan track ends and you go back to the original track, and there is a massive jolt as you transition from the Titan track to the old track. That bit, there is a big jolt there. That's probably the roughest part of the ride now. However, there are other sections on the ride that I feel like felt smoother, even though there's no Titan track. I don't know if it's just that section they've been working on. Maybe they've replaced some of the wood in other sections of the park. Of course, with the Titan track, it's steel track, so you're mixing the steel track with the existing wooden structure, turning it into a bit more of a hybrid coaster. Whereas I wonder if they've also done some replacement of some of the wood in other sections, because there were some places it definitely didn't feel as rough as it has done in the last couple of years. However, that's not to say it's smooth. It is still a pretty rough ride. However, it's not actually too bad. The thing is with that ride, I think it's the trains that are the problem with that ride. The lap bars come down really tight. They dig into your thighs and the side of your legs, and it's not very comfortable at all. So then when you get the jolty sections, it's really digging into your thighs, which is so uncomfortable. And then, so I think the problem with that ride is the trains. If you replace the trains with the Millennium Flyer trains from GCI, I feel like it could be a good ride, because it has some jolty sections, but with the train design of the Millennium Flyers, it wouldn't be too painful. But with those ones, it does get a bit painful. But yeah, I don't think it would with the Millennium Flyer. So therefore, I think the issue with that ride is the trains. Get the Millennium Flyer trains on there, and it would be an absolutely brilliant wooden coaster. It's got a great layout. They dual, some great elements on there, some nice air times, a long ride. It could be amazing. However, yeah, those trains are a little bit painful. There's not enough padding on there, and the restraints do come down really tight. But I am impressed with the work that they've done on Stampede. It is definitely an improvement from what it was. So I'm going to give the single rider queue for Furius Baco a go now. I didn't realise this had a single rider until I got here. I was going to go in the normal queue, which is advertised at 50. That's a bit of a tip for you if you're coming here to PortAventura. Don't go to Furius Baco at the start of the day or at the end of the day, because it's right at the entrance and everyone goes there first. Like literally earlier on, it was on a 2-hour queue when the park opened, and it stayed like that for a while, but now it's gone down to 50 minutes. So hopefully it won't be too bad. But yeah, there's a single rider, so hopefully that'll speed things up a bit. Let's see how this is running. I didn't get on it last time I was here, it was closed, and this is known for being very rough. I've had some very rough rides on this over the years. However, I've always had a soft spot for it, just like I have done everything in this park. So let's go for a ride. It opened in 2007. There we go, so I queued about 40 minutes there, a bit less than 40 minutes in the single rider queue for Furius Baco, so a little bit less than what was advertised for the main queue. And oh my god, I think I've just aged about 20 years after that. That was so unbelievably rough. As I said before I went on, I'll always have a soft spot for that coaster because of like the childhood memories of it, but that was one of the roughest roller coaster rides I have ever had. I was towards the middle of the train on a wing seat. Now of course the roughness of that ride really can depend on where you sit. If you're on the front row, it might be alright. If you're on an inner seat, it might be alright. However, the further back you go, and if you're on a wing seat, that's when it can get really rough. And I mean, I've always found it pretty rough. However, it's not been too bad, but that was unbearably rough. That was awful. And what made it even worse as well was the idiot sat next to me decided to get his phone out, and then the whole ride not only am I being beaten up by the ride, I'm also panicking that he's going to let go of his phone and knock me unconscious. So there we go, not the most enjoyable ride there I've had on Furius Baco. If you are going on rides, put your phone away, don't get them out. If that goes flying out of your hand and hits someone, that could cause serious damage. Just don't do it, it's not worth it. And also, even if you do keep hold of it, the video quality, chances are it's going to be terrible. I saw him watching it as we were leaving the exit. I was walking past him and I just caught it at the corner of my eye, him watching it on his phone, and it was awful. You couldn't see anything, it was shaking about all over the place, and all you could see was the seat in front of you. It was terrible, so there's no point in it. Was it really worth risking possibly someone's life there for that video? No, absolutely not. But yeah, hopefully they can do some work with that ride and make it smoother. But the problem, I mean, it's a rare ride system. Not only has it got a hydraulic launch, which Intamin don't make anymore, but also it's the only ride of its kind where it's like a launched wing coaster. Like, Intamin haven't done another ride like that. So yeah, whether there's going to be parts that they can make to fix it or do anything with it, I don't know. So it is an interesting ride, very unique, but it has got very rough. So I'm going to go for a ride on Angkor now, the Splash Battle. This has been closed the last few times I've been here, because the last few times I've been here like September, October kind of time, when it's not really the weather for a splash battle. I mean, I wouldn't say it's particularly the weather for a splash battle today. I know it looks really nice, but it's not the warmest of days. But I haven't been on this since 2015 was probably my last ride on it, so I do want to go back on it again. And you get some really nice views of Shambala from here as well. Look at that. After this, I'm going to go for some more re-rides on Shambala probably for the rest of the day. So then this park closes at 8, and then after 8 o'clock I'm going to head into Ferrari Land, which closes at 10. Angkor is really good fun there. As you can see, I am absolutely soaked. At first I thought it wasn't going to be too bad because I got on a boat and there was an empty one in front of me, so I thought maybe I won't get too wet because it's not as if the boat in front of me will be able to like fire back at me. However, there is lots of moments on there where you can have some really good battles on there. Of course, like with that ride, it starts off with lots of sections where you can fight like squirting water at other boats, and then it goes into another section where there's different targets you can shoot at, and then when you hit the targets, then it makes different effects happen, and then it goes back to all of the crossovers again where you're fighting with other boats. That was really good fun. I had some really good moments on there, really, really funny. And the fact I was on there on my own, because it was so quiet, he just put me up, the staff member just put me on my own boat. So I was on there on my own, and then there was like a family of 4 behind me. So there was me and this entire family having a massive fight on these boats. It was so funny. We all ended up soaked by the end. Like we were all proper going for it, and then there's like people on the pathway as well, and they turn all the guns on and start firing at you, and you can fire back at people on the pathway who are watching. It's a really good fun ride. You can see why they don't open it in like October, November kind of time, because yeah, it's not necessarily the weather for it, but it is a lot of fun, and there's some really nice theming around there as well. Here we go, so it's time for some B&M goodness now. There goes Shambala. Oh my god! I wasn't expecting to get that wet. I was expecting a little sprinkle to come over, not like that. Oh wow, oh well, I'm already soaked anyway from Angkor. Right, I'm gonna go for a ride on Shambala now. I'm just gonna re-ride this for the rest of the day. So I've had another 2 rides on Shambala, which was absolutely fantastic. Really, really enjoyed both of those rides. Amazing coaster. I love it to bits. And I'm now going over to Mediterranean to go and watch the parade. So you saw some footage of the parade there, and then I ran back to Shambala and got another ride on it. I was on the last train of the night, which was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that was a brilliant way to end my time in PortAventura Park. I'm now here in Ferrari Land, which is open for the next hour and a half, and I'm going to go for a couple rides in here. So you've got Flying Dreams, which is just behind me, the Flying Theatre, which I really want to go on, and then of course I'm going to be riding Red Force over there as well, the tallest roller coaster in Europe, the tallest and fastest roller coaster in Europe, or should I say right now, the tallest operational roller coaster in the world until tomorrow. Yes, as of recording this, this is the tallest operating roller coaster in the world. Top Thrill 2 is still down. That's reopening tomorrow, which is when this is going to lose its record. Of course, King Dakar has closed permanently, and Superman Escape from Krypton has also closed permanently. So yeah, this is the tallest roller coaster in operation at the moment. Of course, when you're watching this vlog, Top Thrill 2 is going to be back open, so it won't have that record anymore. So this is the last day anyone's going to be able to ride this as the tallest roller coaster in the world. So I've just ridden the current world's tallest roller coaster, Red Force, only for the next few hours until Top Thrill 2 reopens. I'd forgotten how insane that was. It wasn't even that long ago that I last rode it. It was less than a year ago. It is absolutely mental. So of course you've got the lap bars on there, which make it really comfortable. The launch is brilliant. It's an LSM launch, but it picks up speed fast. And then going up that 367-foot top hat is insane. Some amazing airtime when you get to the top as you go over. And then also there's a little airtime hill at the end as well, where you get thrown out of your seat. It is an absolutely brilliant ride. It was a little bit rough that time. Sometimes you can get rides where it's very smooth. Sometimes you get it where it's got a little bit of a rattle. However, it's never normally too bad, but that was definitely one of the rougher rides I've had on it. But that was nuts. I absolutely loved that. I went on Flying Dreams as well, the Flying Theatre, which was really good. I enjoyed that. That was the first Flying Theatre I did. I do enjoy that ride. I definitely don't rank it as high as I used to now that I've done a lot more Flying Theatres. Like when I first came off of that and it was my first one, I was like, oh my god, that was amazing. But now that I've done other ones, there are definitely ones that I prefer, but it is still a really nice ride. The park is now closed, so yeah, I've only been in here for about an hour and a half. Most of it was queuing for Red Force. It had a little bit of downtime, which was a shame. If it didn't, then I might have been able to run around and go for a second go just before it closed. So that was a shame, but it was good fun. I got on it once, and it's an incredible ride. So there we go. It has come to the end of a fantastic day here at PortAventura World, celebrating the 30th birthday of the park, even though it was yesterday. But I'm here the day after its birthday, and you know what? It's been absolutely amazing. If you've watched any of my vlogs before, you'll know how special this park is to me and how much it means to me. I visited here for the first time on a family holiday back in 2014. I then came back in 2015, and then I've been here for the last 4 years running as well. It's an absolutely amazing park. This is the place where I conquered my fear of roller coasters, and this is the place where I found myself. I don't know what I would be doing with my life if it wasn't for this place. Like visiting here in 2014, I came here riding Stampede all the time, eventually building myself up to Shambala, and then like riding Dragon Card and all the other rides here, and it turned me into the person I am today. Of course, like once I rode Shambala, I felt like I could do anything, and I just wanted to go to as many theme parks as I could and get on as many roller coasters as I can. And it's been an absolutely incredible journey, and I'm standing here now during the park's 30th anniversary, 11 years after my first visit, and it's always emotional coming back here and remembering all of the like millions of happy memories that I have at this park, and seeing how much it's grown over the years as well. I remember when I came here for the first time in 2014, and Angkor was the new ride, and there was no like Ferrari Land, no Red Force, no Uncharted. There was so much that wasn't here. The park has changed so much, it's evolved so much. It's an absolutely incredible park. I absolutely love it to bits. It's turned me into the person I am today. I don't know what I would be doing with my free time if it wasn't for this park and turning me into a theme park enthusiast, because I definitely wasn't one before I visited here. Once I left this park for the first time in 2014, I was like, do you know what? I want to go to as many theme parks as I can. That roller coaster that I rode, Shambala, that was the most amazing thing I've ever done in my life. I want to keep doing this. I want to keep exploring and getting on as many things as I can. I felt felt fearless. I felt like I could do anything. It's a really special place to me, and it always forever will be. I love this park to bits, and here we are at the end of the day. 30 years of PortAventura, absolutely incredible park, and I can't wait to see what they do next. But that's now the end of this vlog here. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at George Kelly and follow me on Twitter at George Kelly. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, everyone, and I will see you all later. Bye.